up a daily fantasy. His number too high, then I'm probably fading him. He been on the road, he gon' eat up my salary. I hit up by, he gon' lie before lock. Play back to back, then I probably won't pick on the DFS bachelor, good as it gets. Build a few liners and hit me a leg. He had a good game, but it might be a trick. Log in the Slack so I know who to pick. Sharing our liners, we all gon' get rich. New to this game, you should come to the pad. You might want some cash and get a good laugh. DFS sports, we gon' run up a bag. He heard every game and it's making me mad. You buying your lineups, I think you a cheater. DFS bachelor, he the new leader. Yeah.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bachelor Pad. I, of course, am your host of DFS Bachelor. And yes, this is an esports video where we don't have our esteemed colleague Mike with us. He's a little bit busy, but I did promise on Twitter that we would have a video covering the EU Masters. So you're going to have to deal with my dumb ass. First things first, thank you for all your support. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the team. Be sure to hit subscribe down below. Lots of content covering every aspect of esports that we possibly can, especially League of Legends. The other ones, not as much fun for us just yet. Don't have enough information for me personally to feel comfortable giving out those type of videos, so we're going to cover League of Legends. Appreciate the subscribe button. We do a bunch of giveaways. Be sure to comment, subscribe. Eventually it all works out. I've given away a ton of my own money. I haven't made any money off the esports. We're just doing that to provide content to you guys because you, for years now, have been so supportive. So cheers. We are drinking Maker's Mark and Coke. Makers and Coke. And I really do appreciate you all very, very much. Again, if you're playing like the NFL simulations, the NBA simulation stuff, and you're looking for player pools and projections, I do have a link down below for Draft Dashboard. You can try it for 30 days for $1. If you're just trying it for that 30 days for $1 in full transparency, don't forget to cancel before so you're not charged for the full monthly fee. I know, it's recession time, so we don't want anyone to be screwed over because of me. What we're trying to do is help people. Have a good show, and have a good time. So, the EU Masters, and I don't know if this has happened to a lot of you. I got a bunch of free entries tomorrow to some free roll for Draftkings for 5K for first. I'm in. I got 6 free entries. I have absolutely no idea why, but we're going to cover it. So, on Draftkings, they're going to do 3 separate 2-game slates. It's going to be the same 4 teams playing each other in a round robin to figure out who moves on to the playoffs. If you're playing on FanDuel, they're combining all the scores from each team playing each other from the 6 games, essentially. So it's a little bit different. I do think there's some clear favorites, and I do think there's an underdog that has a little bit more upside than the other. Of course, I would recommend spreading your exposure, title of your sex tape. It's a 2-game slate, so anything can happen. It's very similar to the NBA. The Lakers are playing, the Timberwolves. And for some reason, the Lakers just don't show up for one game and they get their asses kicked. That can happen in League of Legends, especially in EU Masters where they're only playing best of 1. So it's just one game, a 1-game sample. I mean, we saw it with the NFL. The Tennessee Titans beat the Ravens. Were the Titans better than the Ravens this year? Of course not. But they beat the shit out of them in the playoffs because a 1-game sample is exactly that, a 1-game sample. So please, if the best thing I could recommend is if you set yourself on a daily budget, which I would always recommend to do. You never want to play more than you can comfortably afford to lose. We talk about that all the time, and that's the number 1 rule of betting. You can't be playing desperate. When you're playing desperate, you're compromising your confidence. When you compromise your confidence, it's hard to make good decisions. So use your head, play within your means. So, for example, if you normally play 2 $10 entries or 4 $10 entries, I would recommend for these 2-game slates, especially if you want to try to set yourself apart and take some risks, to give yourself a chance to stay up top. Instead of playing the $10 entries, play the $4 entries and double your entries, giving yourself more exposure, giving yourself more of a chance to have a chance at the top. So let's just get right into it. So the first game, in EUMET is GL and BTXL. Now, the best two teams on the slate, it's actually not even close, are GL and Team Go. They've already beaten their respective opponents. As a matter of fact, I believe that Team Go actually beat GL. They also beat, and then Gamer Legion beat BTXL. Wasn't a super high scoring game. Both GL and GO are macro teams, which means they're so good they don't have to get aggressive to win the games. But what you will see through this round robin tournament, especially in games 2 and 3, as you move on, is the teams that need to win are going to be more aggressive. They're going to be more aggressive with their draft. They are going to try to push the issue to get ahead. So really the only thing for me is like GL and Go are going to be the favorites in every game they play. When they play each other, I do like Team Go, but I do think it's a macro game. Just like when they played the last time. Gamer Legion beat Team Gamer Origins 1-0. Obviously everything's 1-0. I do give them the slight edge. It does behoove you to watch these games. Now, it's not a lot of fun. Sometimes it can be you're sitting there going, oh my God, I should be watching the NBA playoffs. But instead, I'm watching, 22-year-old kids play a video game. That's where we're at, man. That's the reality, and we're making the best of it. We're turning lemons into lemonade. So let's continue to do that. I like GL a lot. Like for this first go at it, even with the salaries, I like GL and I like GO. Doing a 4-3 stack or a 3-4 stack, even using a jungler as your captain is, if that's the only way you can afford to do it, is the way to go. If I'm picking an underdog, I do think it would be BTXL. They came into this tournament with high expectations. They haven't really lived up to the hype. A lot like DK today, my fellow Dutchman. And they still pushed the issue. They tried hard. They just didn't have quite the talent of the other teams. But I would, BTXL would feel a lot to me like LDLC. A team that can win in multiple ways. They can be aggressive. They can score points. So if you're looking for an underdog, for me, for that first matchup, I do like BTXL on the red side. YDN will be on the blue side for that first game. Of course, you got to keep watching the games and keep monitoring. I'm telling you, that benefited me greatly tonight. When the day started today for EU Masters, Woolite was not really on my radar. By the time it got to that third 2-game set on Draftkings, Woolite was my captain and everything, and I won a shit ton of money. And that's because I was watching the games, which I never thought in a million years I would be doing, but that's what I did. So if you're just looking at this first game, I like Team GL. Again, both of these teams like to play through their bot lane. So if you're going to stack either team, trying to get that bot lane in the captain, I think is the way to go. My primary stack for this will be Team Gamer Legions, just because Team Gamer Origins, GO, is such a good macro team. Probably the best macro team in the tournament. So I'm looking for the high kill, bloodbath type upside. I don't think that you're stupid for game stacking this. I do think the first game, GL and BTXL, has a higher kill score than the second game. Now, of course, anything can change, which is why I say spread your exposure. But if you're trying to play on the safe side, if you're playing cash games 50-50, stacking GL and GO is the way to go. And as the tournament continues on, keeping an eye on these scenarios, what each team needs to do to continue on into the playoffs is very important to watch. We saw LDLC get their asses kicked today by Rogue. But then we saw them change up their play style, and they kicked the shit out of the team coming into tonight. Number one, the Giants, VD Team Vivia. That's the best way I could describe their acronym. They kicked the shit out of them because they changed their play style, got more aggressive, and it was a high kill score game, which won you some money tonight. So it is important to keep an eye if you want to give yourself an edge. Now, listen, if you're going to set your lineups and go to sleep or go to work or go to the grocery store, sticking with the favorites is going to be the way to go. But if you're trying to give yourself an edge, if you don't have shit to do, if you're working from home, you're in quarantine, of course, we're all in this kind of crazy scenario. Watching these games and seeing who's doing what and why they're doing it, no matter how much you understand of it, just watching the games will give you an indication of which way you should go. So for the first game, I like GL. I like Geo. That's a safe way to go. If I'm picking an underdog, I'm picking BTXL for their upside and for their reputation. YDN did beat, I believe, BTXL. So in a head-to-head matchup, they actually won. It wasn't a super high-scoring game. But again, they played the macro game. These four teams like to play the macro game. So that's why I do think when you're stacking the teams, if you think a team's going to win, stacking the top, support, and team is very important because you want those macro scores. You want those dragons. You want those turrets. You want those barons, etc. So it's very important to go to. If I'm picking an 80 carry, for me, it's going to be Gamer Legion against BTXL. I like Hajarnan. He's shown big upside. He's also shown a low floor. But when they win and he plays well, he can score in the 40s. He's a 40-point per game scorer. Now, the last time they played BTXL, in a win, he only scored 18 points. If you look at that entire game log, it was a low-scoring game. You could see in terms of fantasy, both games being low-scoring. Now, both YDN and BTXL are fighting to get themselves into a playoff, into a one-game playoff. They want to move on. I think it's pretty clear, especially if you're playing FanDuel, give yourself plenty of Gamer Legions, give yourself plenty of Gaming Origins, and Gamer's Origin. It's Gamer's Origin and Gamer Legion. So I know that sounds very similar, but it's important to note the two gamers are very, very good, and that's who I would focus on. I'm going to leave it at that. A 12-minute video. I just made a 50-minute video over LPL, LCK. I don't want to, drown your brain too much. Now, if I'm talking about the two underdogs who I would build my team around in terms of them, YDN plays through their bot lane much more than BTXL seems to do. So BTXL would be if you're trying to be contrarian, targeting their jungler Taxer, who is not, excuse me. Is that correct? Let me make sure I have his name right. Yes, Taxer. He's actually a decent player. He just hasn't had those big movements because they've been playing a lot through the top lane. So a guy like, again, you can just look at their fantasy scores in this group. This has been a very macro group. So it's very tough to figure out the upside. You're going to be able to afford whomever you want if you play those underdogs. My favorite player from all the teams in terms of underdogs is Enz, the 80 carry for YDN. He is an aggressive player. He will put himself in a position to carry the game. He will also put himself in position where he is killed a lot. In fact, in their last game against BTXL, the other underdog on this slate, he put up 47 points, had 10 kills, 5 assists. So when you're looking at game 2, when YDN and BTXL are playing, I think it's something to watch out for. Now, you could see BTXL, YDN change their strategy based on the outcomes of that last game, but it's very clear that they want to play through their bot lane. These favorites are going to play a macro game, which is why in these one-game slates, oftentimes a game stack is very effective. So you could pick two winners, which is normally very effective in League of Legends DFS, and still lose money because one game, what was the game the other night, had 54 kills in one game. So even though the team lost, they had 27 fucking kills. So they're going to score way more fantasy points than the team that won in the other contest. So I do think game stacking is an effective strategy. That's why I think you spread your exposure. If you're looking for the winners, Go and GL are the way to go. Just watching the games, they are better at the macro game. They know how to win. They're going to keep those gold totals close. They're going to win those team battles. But if you're picking the underdogs, like I said, I like ends a lot. Ends. Ends I like a lot. I suppose Deadly could be there. He's more expensive. The best thing I could say is don't be afraid to leave salary on the table. You are going to see lineups that you make with high upside that are going to have $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in salary left over. And for most DFS players, that's like, holy shit, that's way too much. It is not in League of Legends. So make sure that just be confident, make your picks. If you're playing on FanDuel, stack those favorites and enjoy your winnings, because I do believe that they will be the ones who are on top most of the time. If you're playing on Draftkings with the 3 separate 2-game slates, if you have the time, if you have the means, whatever, try to watch the game, see who's doing what, see who's on fire, see whose champions are working well for them, because this is a round robin that determines if they move on to the playoffs. Today was pretty predictable for the most part. I know the Giants, the VGIA Giants, kind of faltered a little bit at the end, but it was kind of to be expected because of the nature of the they needed to win. Rogue needed to win. LDLC needed to win to move on. So it was very important. They set themselves up for a playoff slate tonight. So I hope that helps. I know it's not the in-depth player-by-player breakdown that we have with Mike, but just breaking down the data, I do think this is the way to go. Again, I really appreciate all your support. Cheers to you all. Thank you all so much for all your support. Be sure to check out League of Items videos. He's going to have videos up for that. Be sure to check out our LPL LCK. That's a Thursday, Saturday slate. Watch that video here, a very angry me talking about the little troll that had the nerve to run his mouth about my son. Bad idea. I will beat your ass. just for that. But seriously, I really do appreciate you all. I know that it's been a trying time. You're used to watching me talk about the NBA, the NFL, the WNBA, the Major League Baseball. So for all of you to make me a part of your day and something so different is truly humbling. Let me know if there's other things that you guys would like to see in the videos. I am always open to suggestions. I really do love you all. It gives me such a purpose to know that so many of you make me a part of your day, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at DFS Bachelor. Ask me any questions you may have. If I see it, I will do my best to answer it. May the fantasy gods be with you all tonight, and good luck, you all. Bye, folks.